consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalyn Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize. Welcome, my loves, to the very last week of 2020. Can you believe that? Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so honored to have you choose to listen to this show. If you enjoy this episode, if it resonates with you, please do leave a review, take a screenshot of this podcast and shout me out on social media so that more people can listen to this. On Instagram, it's Bold Sexy Warrior, and on Facebook, it's Rosalyn Fung Coaching Bold Sexy Warrior. It would mean the world to me for you to take a few minutes to share and review this, as I would love to spread more of the message of love and consciousness to the collective. I'm also very excited to share an upcoming workshop I am hosting with my husband, Dan, a certified financial planner, and it's our very first one together as Pleasure in the Bedroom and Bank. If you guys haven't heard any of our episodes on my podcast, you definitely don't want to miss out on them. And this workshop is called Vision 2021, Money Manifesting. And it's going to take place on January 30th, 2021. And we are going to bring together the energy and psychology of money, plus practical money strategies, so you can start to manifest more money for 2021 and beyond. Let's create those ripple effects. The first 50 tickets are only $44.44 Canadian. So go grab your tickets at 2021, like the numbers, 2021 moneyvision.eventbrite.ca, or go to my link in my bio on Instagram at Bold Sexy Warrior. All right, let's get on with the show. Let me ask you a few questions. Are you someone who is feeling called to step up into your leadership? Is your age a factor that stops you from believing you can make an impact, such as thinking you're too young or too old? Have you or do you know anyone that's currently struggling with some form of addiction, whether that's toxic relationships, alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex, and needing some inspiration, hope to get out of that pattern and into a higher vibration, a higher frequency, into living their soul purpose? Are you seeking a deeper sense of happiness and fulfillment? Well, my special guest today, Daniel Sadie, is a young 25-year-old man and on a huge mission to leave an impact of love on the world. We met through a mutual friend whom he met through the personal development courses that Dan and I both have been students of. And if you've been following my podcast for a while, you know how much I am obsessed with personal development and how much these courses and integrity seminars here in Edmonton, Alberta have changed my life and my husband's. Daniel, my guest Daniel, let me make that really clear, is an entrepreneur and is known by many as a jack of all trades and a master of fun. He is really fun. We had such a blast on our first Zoom call meeting. And he has been living a life fully sober, recently celebrating 4 years. He aims to inspire a younger generation to root into their internal compass and learn to deepen their awareness on life. Welcome, Daniel.
Roz, it's so great to be here. I'm just grinning ear to ear. So thank you very much for the introduction as well.
Well, I love it. Well, we should tell the audience how we came to meet, because I think it's really inspirational for many to see how this very moment in time has manifested for you. Thanks to social media, Facebook in this case, our mutual friend was, I think you had put out a post, right? And asking to be one of your exercises, your stretches, was to put yourself out on more platforms to be more visible and get your message out there. And our mutual friend tags me and your post, and that's how we met. We got on a call, and I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, you need to come on my podcast. I want you to share your message and your powerful story. I think that so many people, especially people in their early 20s, are going to really resonate with you, Daniel. So I'd love for you to share exactly your story and how you got to awaken to a more happier life.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for, right? So, yeah, I can't say that I was ever born out of privilege. And so that's something that I like to make clear, because typically when I walk into conversation, more often than not, a lot of the troubles that I've experienced stem from a harder upbringing. So, I mean, grew up pretty normal, you know, middle class in a small town in Alberta. And as I kind of grew through it, about halfway through into my teenage years, my dad had a huge shift in his career, and I started to look up to him a lot more as an entrepreneurial business figure in my life. And you know, we went from this construction tradesman to financial literacy and personal development and reading books and going back to school and all this kind of stuff. So I had this bud from a young age of he would drip these little contents and knowledge on me and stuff. And to be perfectly honest with you, I found it quite annoying. And I think that's why it pushed me to go in so much of a different direction, because he tried so hard to make it so that I didn't grow up the same way that he did, you know, kind of out on the streets and however it was. And in him teaching me, it actually pushed me to go into the opposite direction. But one thing that never left is I'm a firm believer in once you learn something, you can't forget it. And if it's aligned with the direction that your soul is supposed to go, it'll actually find ways to tear you apart so that you move towards it, right? Like it'll pick at you and it says, you're going this way again. Okay, here's another couple left and right hooks. Come back this way, right? And so from a young age, I had really good subconscious teachings. I had a good upbringing. I knew, you know, I was taught and I was told what the difference between right and wrong was, whether or not I acknowledged it or not. And so, you know, 17, 18 years old, that entrepreneurial spark really fired up. And I was really excited about it. However, it manifested in illegal ways before it manifested in legal ways. And so it was an adventure for a few years.
You know, really, Daniel, I want to say a lot of the most successful entrepreneurs, I want to say, also started on the same path illegally.
Yeah. I think you just need a taste of the bottom before you kind of work your way up towards a better flowing energy, right? So
yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I'm not going to lie. You know, in a lot of ways, it was fun, but the lessons got harder and harder, and they became physically taxing and even more mentally and emotionally taxing. And it really just put me in this position where, you know, at the age of 17 years old, I was full swing coming to school, hailed out, strung out, drunk out of my mind, high on whatever. And, you know, I was living to the outside world, you know, semi-normal for a 17, 18-year-old. But internally, I was fighting off all these demons that I had created from, you know, moving away from that gut instinct, I guess you could say. And so, fortunately, after countless lessons, multiple trips to the hospital, and, you know, pretty much getting to the point that my family was about to exile me and kick me out onto the streets. I had a shift, and I woke up. I woke up one morning, probably the worst that I've ever woken up, and my roommate at the time looked at me, and he's like, "Your dad's coming over in 30 minutes, and you can either choose to get sober with me today, or you can grab your bag and you can leave."
Wow.
And that was the hit home moment, because I realized that it wasn't his decision. It was also my father's decision. That at 21 years old, I had gotten to the point that I was so bad that my dad was going to kick me out. And I was like, I can't do that. Like the man that's the reason to my inspiration and the reason why I got into the businesses that I did legally between 19 and 21. And just, I couldn't do that. So I started walking the path, and not going to lie, it sucked. And change is never easy. And you know that too, Rosalyn.
Yes,
like, it's not something that just
1000%.
falls into us, right? So the first year was a battle, and it was literally untying all the knots that I had tied for the last 4 or 5 years, and those knots manifesting as, big habits, as far as like sleep patterns or holding a job, or money management, to letting people go was another one, right? Because one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is it's very difficult to maintain a sober lifestyle when 90% of your friend group is still inviting you out every Friday and Saturday night.
Correct.
And so as much as you may love, respect, and appreciate those people for who they've showed up as, or, where they've been in your life, there's a time where you just need to let them go. And the lesson for me was let them go for now. And if they choose to come back into your life later, then that's okay. And the spoiler alert on that is a lot of them actually did, which is really crazy. So it was just, you create the change within yourself, and you go and you start walking this new path, and they come back in, they're like, "Wow, I'm really proud of you," instead of, "Wow, how about a drink?" No, it's, "Wow, I'm really proud of you because, we can see this shift." So in between all of this, I really gained an appreciation and an understanding for a hard work ethic. So how I initially overcame my addiction was, I just worked. Like, that was it. Like, I worked 18, 20 hours a day, 2 jobs, one online business, and one during the day, installing office furniture in downtown Edmonton. Because the busier I kept myself, the less I would think about slipping back into those patterns. Which in turn is not good, because, I dropped one addiction and built up another. And I built up this toxic work relationship where, I dropped the alcohol, I dropped the drugs, I did all of that. But now if I didn't stop moving, I wasn't fulfilled. And so that became the next kind of coursing wheel. So although I built up a great, and what a lot of people would look at as a crazy work ethic, it didn't always serve. So moving through that, and as I kind of, 21, 22, 23 was the keystone moment in my life where I was like, okay, I've done a lot of really cool things. I've traveled to a lot of awesome places. I've spoken on stage at this point about a dozen times, a couple of them for, mental health awareness events, addiction events. I got the pleasure of standing up on stage in front of a couple congregations for spiritual centers in Edmonton, just to really share my journey and how that moved. And I was like, okay, now it's time to build that legacy project, that's something that I'm going to be able to lean back on financially and feel fulfillment from, in my heart. And what showed up was really beautiful, but not in the way that I intended. I intended this big, massive project that was going to carry me through, but what manifested was a big, massive lesson that I needed to step into. So I hit the ground running about 2.5 years ago, partnered up with one of my best friends. We created a company called Fi by Nature. And Fi by Nature was really rooted in everything in life is centered and circled around, Fibonacci patterns. Everything natural in the world stems from the Fi. And so we created this with a pure intention, and we walked into selling eco-friendly products. And within a matter of 3 months, not only did we lose everything that we put into it because we knew nothing about that form of business, but we also stepped into a new business, and we partnered up as a chance to really cling on to our identity with another company in the city that was doing product development and engineering. And they said, well, hey, you guys already have tasted the import-export life and what it takes to source products and have them manufactured. Why don't you take on the back end of our company and really help to learn and develop and take on the sourcing, take on the manufacturing, take on all that kind of stuff and learn how to be experts in that. And the only thing that popped into my eyes was dollar signs, Roz. And it was funny how I started this company with so much intention and so much just love and life to be able to give back, that it spiraled and it turned into just like a money-hungry pursuit. And so once again, Daniel disappeared, and he put his nose to the grindstone and was gone for 19, 20, 22 hours a day. And it started off as building this company. And then we moved into an office space, the 6 of us. And then we were like, wow, we should renovate this office space. And so now not only was I building this business, I was renovating and doing a full reno and reconstruction of this place. And, fast forward, another year, and we've done pretty good. I mean, we had done what most startup companies in Canada could achieve in a year. We had set ourselves up. We were making a half decent income. We were having clients coming to us left and right. So we had this beautiful office space, and life was grand. And then you looked at it, and eventually nothing lasts forever, right? Unfortunately, my blessing.
I'm going to leave this on a cliffhanger, because we're going to go into commercial and we'll leave people hanging. Be like, what happened?
Oh, no. Okay. That's okay. A good cliffhanger.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Life is a flow, and enlightenment is simply harmonizing with the way life really is. Then you find that life is effortless, benevolent, and free of all suffering. Hey everyone, this is GP Walsh, and I want to invite you to my brand new radio show that's launching right here on OMTimes Radio called The Flow of Enlightenment. I've been a spiritual teacher for decades, and my greatest pleasure is being able to share with you these deep and highly practical spiritual ideas. So join me in The Flow every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and let yourself be transformed.
I'm so not good enough.
Fail.
They'll judge me.
I'm afraid
So others
it's
are
already
doing
been
it.
done.
Who are you not to fully express who you are, to be your warrior of light and do business from your fierce, aligned energy? I'm Rosalyn Fung, host of Activate Your Soulgasmic Business here on OMTimes Radio. Let's get your business turned on to the next level. I invite you to hop on a business soul alignment discovery call with me at rosalynfung.com and let's monetize in your soul mission. Go to ROSALYN F as in fun, UNG.com.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back, loves. All right, Daniel left us on a cliffhanger. So what happened after with this business?
Well, it came perfectly timed with this new evolving pandemic that we walked into, and we we came through the first 4 months of 2020 thinking that we were invincible because we, we'd done so well in the first year and a half, and we had all these rock solid foundations overseas, and everything was going well. And I was like, nothing's going to shut the import-export trade down. Nothing could possibly do that. No virus could ever stop that. And, boom, it happened just as quick as we could blink our eyes, but about 4 months delayed. So, I'm not the only one crying out like that, oh my God, we got hit with this pandemic. But, it's a true fact that, a lot of people think that they're untouchable until something like this happens. And I think that it was really well aligned because it made us rethink a lot. Not only did it make us rethink, but it also made me dive deeper into, was this actually my vision that I was trying to build? And what I realized was it wasn't. And I was just very, very, very enthusiastic about somebody else's big picture. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I've always wanted to create a very purposeful, meaningful life for myself. And I know that that's my soul's mission, is to really dive into something like that. And I can get really fired up and really energized about almost anything. And that's what makes me the yes man in the world, because somebody will come out to me with this big grin and enthusiasm in their eyes and say, this is what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh my God, how can I help you? And I just want to throw myself into it, and I sell myself on it just as hard. But I wasn't selling myself on what I needed to do to bring fulfillment and prosperity and foundation into my world. And although I had done a lot of things right, I needed a few more lessons. And this one primarily was just watching the zeros, instead of having a positive in front of it, turn to a negative. And on my 25th birthday, which was just this last summer, we ended up turning back, and we had enough contracts fall out that we were in a deficit over six figures. So from going from this thriving startup company to now me carrying this debt, I didn't know what to do. So the only thing that got us out of that, and that really at the end of the day got me out of it, because I'm the sole owner of the company now, after everybody kind of dispersed. And I looked at it and I was like, the only way that I'm going to fix this is if I dive into who I am. And if I really start to create happiness in my life instead of finding happiness in what I'm doing. I need to create it first, and then I can, push it out. Right. And so it was, that's when it all started. And thankfully I stepped into some beautiful, personal development programs and some new communities about a month before this all really rolled. So, in June of this last year, I started diving into discovering more about who I needed to be and who I needed to show up as. And I think without that, I wouldn't be standing right here. And if I was to have a conversation with Daniel from June, even, it's two different people, Roz. It really is. Just the amount of shifts that I can even notice, and the amount of growth that the people in my community have seen. And I still hear it, and I still ask myself the question, how on earth did I dig myself out of that hole so quickly and so almost effortlessly that it was able to manifest into, now I have this time, now I have this freedom, now I have this mental clarity for the most part, that I can, fully put my heart into what it wants to do, not what is influenced by the outside world.
Oh my gosh, you are such a wise soul, and what a gift. I really want the audience to hear this, that in the breakdown you had breakthroughs, but it required you to hit rock bottom. And really, in your case, it was, and it's happened multiple times through your story, where first it was you're hitting rock bottom with the drugs and alcohol, and then you chose to turn your life around. And yes, it was like the same pattern and pendulum just swung into workaholism. And in that still is such a gift that you learned how to turn yourself around. You learned how to become more disciplined and in some ways have a healthier way to live your life, like for physically and mentally. And then just how beautiful that, as your journey, your path continued, you realize like, all right, I'm still in the pendulum of addiction and I need to get off this pendulum and find that balance. And what a gift that you found this, you founded this company that supported you to see and be abundant prosperity wise and client wise, and then the COVID hit, and there was the other piece, everything was taken away from you. And how beautiful that because of all the work you had done up to that point, you realize, all right, I got to go deeper within myself. And really the true happiness is by being, doing, then having. And that is incredible that this is how you really manifested your life to be where it is today. And so I love hearing about, that speaks volumes to say the Daniel that who you were in June is not the same person that you are right now. And I would say me too, because I think we both shift really quickly. Once you're in this, you step into a new portal, we'll say, of spiritual, personal growth. And we're in this place of taking personal accountability, spiritual accountability. Everything shifts. We are no longer victim to our circumstances. And I really want to acknowledge you for who you are today, and can't wait to see who you are becoming as you come home more to yourself. And so I'm really curious, Daniel, just what does your life, what does your business look like today?
Yeah, I mean, good question. It's taken me a while to kind of cultivate that. And you know what, the decision that I had made probably September, October, was to shut it down completely. I mean, we zeroed out our accounts. We, we're in the process of just completing a couple straggling contracts. And it was just to go. I was like, not that I lost passion for the industry, but I gained more purpose in myself. And this wasn't the place that I needed to lay my head. And so right now it's just cleaning up the books. And, in the current moment, it's realistically non-existent. And I say that with a lot of peace because it's not a burden anymore. Right. And it's allowed me to step into some opportunities, like working for my dad's nonprofit over the last couple months. His charity's been putting on a massive light display down at the Snow Valley in Edmonton for a big drive-through light display. So I've been able to help with that. I've been able to get back into kind of my roots of born and raised construction carpenter. Jack of all trades is not a loose term. I've really stepped into a lot of different industries. So I love doing renovations and stuff. So I've been able to buy my time like that and, spend a lot more time getting back to the root of, I was put onto this earth to serve. And that's something that I hold very close to my heart. And the service that I can offer to the world is by, speaking my story more. So now I'm in the process of, turning this business into, my dream vision of inspiring and creating change and helping people to do the same, and finding ways to either have that be the legacy project or using that to cultivate other creative business opportunities that can help me get closer to that. And that could be in health and fitness, that could be in public speaking, that could be in coaching, that could be in personal development. And I'm just really open to receiving right now, Roz, and it's a beautiful space to be in because things are just flowing effortlessly.
I really love what you just shared. You're in this space of just being super open to receive. And one of the things I'm really appreciating so deeply about you right now, Daniel, is just how courageously vulnerable you are being in sharing this, because this isn't a story that happened a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. It's actually happening now. You're in process. And what I find is that that really speaks to me. That's what I love to do, is to share things that are happening in process with my community as well, because then we're more relatable. It's like, we're not going to wait till things are quote unquote perfect, or that we've gotten to a certain quote unquote status and then tell our story. So I really love that you're so real and you're so connected with yourself that you're okay sharing this. And it's like, yeah, in lots of ways, it's like, I don't give a shit what other people are going to think. Somebody needs to hear this story. And it makes you such a real, relatable guy and person. So thank you for being so vulnerable and so honest and open. That, I think I'm going to say to audience. Sorry, go ahead, love.
No, I was going to say a mutual friend of mine has implanted in my brain courageous vulnerability, and I'm trying to move and act through that a little bit more. So thank you for acknowledging that.
You are absolutely being this. You are absolutely being courageously vulnerable, and how beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have picked that up if it wasn't true, right? So beautiful that you are actually embodied in courageous vulnerability. And that is something that I really admire about you, especially as a male in our society, where there's a lot of beliefs around men need to toughen up, and, you know, if you're emotional, then you're a pussy. And there's all these negative messages. I still hear people say, don't cry, boys don't cry. And I'm like, no, don't say that. And I just love that you are being the change that you want to see in the world, to be a very heart-driven, conscious man that I believe our world right now is asking humanity to be more of, as a man. I mean, in general, for all of us to awaken, to wake the fuck up and look at ourselves.
No filter.
Yeah, no, I don't filter. So look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, who am I? Who am I? And what am I pretending not to know? That's such a powerful question, right? What am I pretending not to know? Mm-hmm. And where am I going in my life? Am I happy? Am I fulfilled? And if not, what do I need? Who do I need to be so that I can become fulfilled? I can have fulfillment. And so I can hear you really have been doing the work. It's very apparent because you have embodied courageous vulnerability. We can't fake this. Energy just doesn't lie. I'm really curious, and we may, have you share a couple of the steps and then come back from commercial. What was that? Was there like a pivotal moment for you to go, wow, yes, if we were just a zoom in. So COVID hits, you realize your business is like the contracts are falling away. Was there a pivotal moment that you remember that made you go, holy crow, I really need to look at something here. I need to look deeper at myself.
Yeah. So something that I recently learned, but have known for a long time, and it's I coined it of, we know a lot, but we're aware of a little. And it's that our bodies literally tell us everything we need to know. And I started just taking a second to look at what my body was doing, where I was experiencing pain, how my heart is reacting, is there tension in my throat, and looking back at it, through multiple people and saying, okay, if there's tension in my throat, I probably have to say something. If my heart's hurting, I'm probably not aligned with what I'm doing. And so I started just really breathing into that more. And when these pains were showing up, I would just move in a different direction temporarily and see if it would alleviate. And if it did, I would keep on walking that way. And that was really the first step, was just checking in with the physical body to say, okay, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, or I need to say this or else I'm going to explode. And that was the first step. And once that started to happen, the next step to it, which I just learned from, June onward, was surrender. And that being surrender to the outcome, surrender to the possibility of what's about to unfold. And I stepped into this so hard, Roz, that I just recently tattooed surrender on my right wrist, because I never wanted to forget that was what's taken me so far in the last few months. Was, as I'm driving with my right hand up on the steering wheel and somebody cuts me off and I want to get angry and I look over and it's right there. Or when I'm about to meet somebody and shake hands or whatever it is, it's right there. And I'm open to the possibility of what's going to happen and knowing that it's perfect in all the ways that it's supposed to be.
Oh my gosh, that is so powerful. So what I'm really hearing is, and this is for the audience, is to really, I want to highlight it for them. The first thing is, really look from a bird's eye perspective outside of the addictive patterns. When we get so busy, we're doing, we're actually, that's taking away from us is our ability to look internally and connect with ourselves and come home to ourselves. So taking ourselves more into a bird's eye, objective, non-judgmental view, and really exploring from that angle, and then realizing, all right, when I'm outside of this pattern, who am I really? Because I am not addiction. I am not, right? We are not what we do. And so I love that you really took the courage to look at yourself in that perspective and then surrender. What a powerful word. That's really been coming up for me as well in this time, in the last couple weeks, is really surrendering and letting go, as it's the last week of 2020, of what no longer serves, anything in our beliefs, anything in our behaviors, the things that are still showing up energetically that are really, really subtle and not serving. So I love that you shared that. So we're going to go into commercial, and then we'll come back and continue jamming about what else had unfolded for you in terms of steps to get to where you are today.
Perfect. I love it.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back, love. So just before commercial, Daniel and I were talking about the power of surrendering. And I thought, some of our listeners might not really know exactly how to do that. We hear about that. Just like, when we say, oh, just love yourself, self-love this, self-love that. But the actual, how do I actually embody that? So Daniel, I'd love to have you unpack that a little bit with me. what does surrender mean to you? And what does that look like in your life?
Well, it means probably one of the most challenging lessons that I've had to learn, and that's just letting go. And whether that's letting go of expectation or letting go of moments in the past. And we, a lot of us, as we move through a personal development journey, or even as Riz, we have this tendency to look back. What if this happened? What if that happened? Okay, well, when you're doing that, you just forgot all the beautiful things you passed on your car drive because you blinked and you were so far into your thought process of the past that you didn't realize that, there was a beautiful tree shedding its leaves to the right as you were stopped at a red light. Whatever that is, right? So in those moments where something is coming up for you, whether that's good or that's bad, it's taking ownership of it and saying that this is happening for me. This is happening for my best interest. And so what surrender is meant to me is that when lessons show up or when experiences show up, whether they be good or bad, it's difficult sometimes in the moment to look at it like this, but to ask the question of, how is this showing up for me? What lesson am I supposed to be learning from this? And then to really sit back into it and let it play out and not try to force an outcome or not try to overanalyze what could happen, right? It's, going back even, I remember going to ask the first girl I was ever going to ask out on a date when I was 14 years old. And God, did I ever put together every circumstance that probably could have happened in that moment, so much so that when I got up to her, I choked, right? And so when we overanalyze these things, instead of just surrendering to, this is who I am, if this is going to happen, it's going to happen for me. If it's not going to happen, it's also going to happen for me because that person was either good for me or they were bad for me, or this situation was going to teach me a lesson or it was going to give me a triumph in life. And surrender is really just a breath in the moment of turbulence and in the moment of excitement and just saying, this is nice. What's next? This is awesome.
Yes.
Where can we go?
Yes. And I love that. That's so beautiful. So it's like really slowing down, almost as if you're slowing down time in the moment and you're zooming in on it. And you could there's like fork in the road, right? And you could take the usual pattern of, so for me, this year, I've been really working on not being on my phone so much when I'm with my kids, truth be told. So in that moment, it's like, well, I could pick up that phone because that's an automatic behavior. And it feels like it's like, it doesn't feel natural or normal because you're going outside of the automated pattern. Or I could choose to just breathe, slow down, and choose consciously to be present with my children and be here. And holy moly, and also thinking what my intention is, what my goal I set for this is. So as a mom, my role, and thinking about how do I want my children to remember me as the mom that was always on their phone, or as the mom that was present and playful and enjoying them in the beingness. And of course, the latter is my answer. And so that's what helps me, focusing on the outcome, focusing on who I want to become, helps me in those moments to not go to my phone. And, setting boundaries, having my phone somewhere else helps. But really, being conscious in that moment, surrendering to the pattern that no longer serves or supports, and surrendering to, oh no, like if I don't get back to people, they're gonna, all that ego stuff and all the fear and anxiety that comes up for me, no matter how on a spectrum is on and off, right? So even though it's not super loud, it's loud enough that sometimes I'm in the automated pattern. And so I'm really hearing surrendering is, okay, I'm choosing different. I'm handing over what's no longer serving or supporting, and I'm choosing something different and hopefully better.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Beautiful.
it is better, and it's not always right in front of our face better, but those small choices are going to manifest and build into, the new life that we long for, but we're sometimes not always willing to create.
Oh, well, and especially when it comes to romantic love, let's talk about that, right? Like being in a relationship that, how many of us are in relationships where we know that it is not healthy? There's lots of conflicts or drama, or maybe not it feels like roommates. And of course, there are things on a spectrum. It's not like, it could be from extreme to not extreme, but, how often are we feeling unfulfilled, or we're feeling like we're chasing that person rather than, and trying to get their attention. And it's like, and then when we get their attention, it's like, oh, see, it's good. And I see so many, in this case, when it's women, be in these kind of relationships. And so the surrendering is handing over that sense of, I need to be in this relationship. I need to feel worthy and loved by this, or I need to feel loved by this person, or feel worthy. And when the real truth is, again, having bird's eye view, looking at this pattern with no judgment, and being outside of yourself, to look at the pattern and going, okay, yeah, I don't want that anymore. I don't want to be in it. This addictive pattern of unhealthy relationship. So I am surrendering. I am handing over, because I know there's something more for me. And when we let go, and I'm assuming, like, Daniel, this is where we can go, is when we surrender, we're letting go, something greater comes in, because we've made room for it in our life.
Yeah.
And it could be that the relationship, you set your boundaries, and that same person in that relationship shifts in the pattern with you into a more healthy pattern. Of course, that doesn't happen overnight, but in the transition, the transformation, and it still comes with hard work, could still shift. Or you let that person go and someone new comes in. Or in terms of business, you're right, letting clients go, more aligned clients come in, friends. And you were going to say something, love.
Well, it's exactly that. There's never an absence of energy, but when we hold on to it, when we're holding on to the bad, we can't make room for the good, right? And it's just being in that flow of, take our human body as, like, not a barrier, not a wall, but a mesh or a webbing that captures what is good for us and lets what's not just flow through us. And, sometimes it needs to stick for a minute, and it needs to teach us a lesson, but eventually we can just kind of, flick it off of our shoulder, or, cry it out, or however that shows up, and just step into that new relationship, that new partnership, that new business, those new clients, that new way of living. And it's all pretty beautiful, really.
It is beautiful. It's messy and it's beautiful.
It is, yeah.
I actually love to look at things not as good or bad, but, because at some point that pattern served and supported us because it is rooted in a belief, and that belief served and supported us. So it gets manifested perhaps in things that don't really support us in being our healthiest sense of self, mind, body, and spirit. So really wanting to make it clear, I understand what you mean by saying bad, because it's like it doesn't serve and support. So really looking at things from perspective of non-judgment when we look at this, and I'm speaking to the audience. So being able to go, thank you. Like, holy shit, those are really hard lessons. And what beautiful things can come when I surrender and let go. And Daniel, I want to acknowledge you just how powerful that has been for you, and for you to be sharing your message. And I'm just like jazzed up about hearing you going around speaking on stages and on podcasts to spread your message more. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity for us to chat today. And, and really just to talk with more people about this, because I feel like those are the conversations that we need to hold with more power. And
1,000%. 1,000%. Thank you. So what we'll do is we'll go into a guided meditation. And I just feel called to guide us into the art of surrendering. And if you've listened to my previous episode with Jana Rom, she delivered a beautiful surrendering meditation. So I would invite you to go also tune into that one. I've listened to it a couple times myself again. So I hope to deliver something of similar quality with a different essence through our conversation today. So I invite you to have a soft gaze or close your eyes. And just tune into your breath. Inhale. And as you inhale so that your breath moves into the parts of your body that need more space. So your side body, your heart, the back of your heart, your mind. And then exhaling. And as you exhale, taking a little bit longer, what this does is it calms your nervous system. And imagine surrendering, letting go of everything that no longer serves you. And you truly deeply know what that is. So just tuning into your heart right now, breathing in, and continue breathing in a deep inhale and then a deep exhale. And just reflecting on what right now do you need to let go of. Whether it's a certain pattern in your relationship, certain clients in your business, certain beliefs you hold that are no longer serving or supporting. Saying thank you right now. Thank you up until this point. Thank you. You have served. And then exhaling what it is that you need to let go of. Surrendering, feeling into the power of surrender. Feeling the lightness that comes in. And as you do this, imagining this beautiful pillar of white light from up above, from God, divine source, universe, however you relate, highest self, come through the crown, the top of your head, right through to the core in your body, all the way to your root chakra, where your perineum is, right through that and connecting with Mother Earth. Allowing Mother Earth to hold you right now. Breathing her in, her unconditional warmth, love. And just relaxing into her love, being held like you're back in the womb space. You're cocooning. You're tuning in. You're recalibrating. And saying out loud, I choose to let go of whatever it is that you're letting go of. And as I let go, I trust that there is something greater for me right now. I'm handing over this to God, to a higher power. And I trust that this is for my highest good and truth. Breathe this in. Pora kira ti kira tuo, pora kia ti kira tu kora tia. Pora ti kira tia, clearing anything and everything in the way of the path. Pora tuora kira ti kira tuo. Aligning all your energy centers. Aligning your intuition, your heart, and your mind. For something greater to come in. Receiving greatness. It is your birthright to receive greatness. Breathing in and breathing out. Just noticing the sensations, noticing what feels light, what feels good. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Daniel. You guys can connect with Daniel on Instagram at Succeed with Sande, Sande. Thank you so much again, Daniel, for being here.